I had too much of this. But all right. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for Reading Sprints once again. Yeah, for fan fiction readathon. That's what we're doing. Yeah, that's what we're doing. It's going by so fast, but also I feel like we've been doing this forever, which I love. Yeah. But I have to finish up another book before I can go back to mine. I'm almost done. I'll finish it easy in this first sprint, and then I'll get into the other one. But yeah. Yes, I will tell everyone. So I'm doing some of my Patreon reads, and I'm rereading On the Island, which is a good book to read. I also I was literally bawling like a half hour ago too. This book is
that was a sad book.
I forgot how much this book hits. Yeah. Well, because I love survival stories, so I'm loving it, but I forgot about her parents. I came back and I was like, oh my God, that's right. And I was just bawling because I'm like, oh my God. Also, I'm the same age as her now. The first time I read this, I wasn't. And now I'm like, wow, this hits harder when I'm the same age as her as well. So, but yeah, so I'll be done with it. I have 40 pages left, but this is one of those that each chapter is barely a page sometimes. So
it's a quick read.
Yeah, it's so quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this one. So that's what I'm reading. And then I have a few things to choose from. I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna try doing the second sprint for sure. I'm gonna try reading Zombie Apocalypse and see, but otherwise I'm maybe done reading fics because I got through 6 of them. I feel good about that. But I have other I have arcs I have to read now. So I'm I'm gonna try though, because if I get hooked on it, I'll push through it. If not, I guess it's waiting another turn again. But what are you guys reading? Oh, sorry, people watching too. Tell us what you're reading. Tell us what you read. You don't have to be reading fan fictions. We're just going to do a couple of reading sprints here. So tell us what you're reading while they tell me what they're reading.
Well, I already read 11 fics. So I'm thinking, I was reading a Teen Wolf, Styles and Derek one. I'm reading 2 of them. But one of them is a 400K word one. Ooh, and I'm I kind of want to take a break and just read a regular, traditional, indie book. So I think I picked up last night. It's called Fairy Bones and Gold. It's an indie by Haley Turner. So it's cool. It's a paranormal book. So I'm gonna continue this one. I'm almost halfway through it.
Is that one MM?
Yeah, it's MM. It's a series of 6 books, I think. So it's it follows the same couple kind of thing. Paranormal investigator, I think, and werewolves and fae mages and stuff like that. So I felt like a urban paranormal book. So I'm let me pick that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
I might still try to continue the Pansville. I'm struggling a little bit with it. I almost DNF'd it, but I don't want to give up on it quite yet. So I might continue that one and see how I feel about the second half. But if not, I have some one-shots potentially lined up because I've only really read a couple. I read that short Floor Tonks, and then I did reread a couple favorite one-shots from a long time ago that I hadn't reread in a while. So I'm a little behind y'all with finishing fics, but so we'll see what I end up sticking with during the sprint.
Yeah, I did end up reading a Claraline. I read that the other day, and it was okay. It was only 4,400 word. Yeah, 4,400, 44,000. No, 44,000. Yeah. Can't do math today. And that one, so this was the one that was originally going to be my one shot because it's 150 pages, but it was one chapter release basically. But I read one of the other ones for that, but it was all right. The thing is that it didn't really change anything. So I don't really care for that. I really want literally the only difference in this one is that Caroline was away at school, like she was in college when all this stuff was happening. So she comes back to town to like, I don't even remember what the reason was. And all this stuff still happened that happened while she was gone. So she comes back and there's just a bunch of paranormal in her town. And Klaus is her, I guess she's going to grad school is what she is. Apparently Mystic Falls has a college close enough for that. And, but yeah, everyone's still the same creature, still the same whatever, but her friends have hid from her that there's paranormal stuff. So she steps back into the middle of everything. So it was fun because like there was like Enzo showed up and like Grams was still alive and Vicky Donovan was still around. So like all these people were there. And then she like uncovers that there's vampires and it like ends in just like there wasn't enough is the thing. Like they get together in the last like 500 words of the thing. And so I was like, well, I just didn't need to see it. You know, it was one of those, I was like, what was the point of it?
That's like part of why I was struggling with the Pansville, because it said it was like a slow burn romance, but I didn't expect like Pansy's getting divorced from Draco, and I could tell she was flirting with Harry, and I was like, okay, I think Harry's going to be like her rebound before we get with Neville. But the Harry rebound was like built up, like they didn't sleep together until 50%, which is about where I'm at. And it's not even just like sexual, like they're building this really cute friendship. They have these really tense moments. And then once they sleep together, it kind of fast forwards to when she breaks it off and she's like, I just want to be friends. I don't want to ruin things. So I think where I'm at like 53%, we might now be. So like Neville's been in the background and they've had some tense moments, but they built so much
with Neville.
Yeah, they built so much of an emotional connection with her and Harry that like I'm struggling now to have buy. I'm like, I'd rather you just have her with Harry. So I think it just for me drug on a little too much with Harry that now I don't even know if I really want her to switch.
Oh. Well, hopefully she really makes Neville swoon then, because
that's why I don't want to give up, because I'm like, I put in all this work to get through the Harry plot line that I want to see. But yeah.
That's wild, man. That would annoy me a whole lot. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she's that type of fic author that she didn't know where it was going. And then by the time she was done, it was like, oh, it's going to be Panville.
Yeah, she warned in like one of the beginning chapters, she's like, just so y'all know, like it is Pansville, but Pansy's going to have some fun first. So that like hinted, but I think maybe if it had happened in like the first third, it would have been, but it drug out so well that I was like, you have me rooting for Harry now. So I'm a little confused, but.
Oh, sure. Glimpses of Magic says All Hollows by Christopher Golden.
Like a horror
I think I've heard of that. I don't think I've heard of that one. You only have 47 pages left. Nice. Hopefully you'll finish that. Comal's reading Breath Mints and Battle Scars. Ooh, great choice. Great choice. Love that one. Love it. Thanks for all you do. Well, thanks. Thanks for joining us. It'll be good. But
So
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the one that I just finished reading, the fic, was actually a Marvel fan fiction that was AU Last of Us, which is Bucky and Steve, and it was interesting. Like it made me forget. It made me remember how people write like insert other world characters, like the Raylo one where she's in Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, oh, the Marvel characters in the Last of Us setting. So I've been wanting like to look for more fics and like those characters in that city. That was really, yeah. So it's like it made me like remember a lot of the fics I used to read, like settings, crossover fics. Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. I know there was I always like this idea. There's just a fun like YouTube channel I watch, the Super Carlin Brothers, and they've done that a few times, like sort the Avengers into houses and stuff. And I always like I like that nerdy stuff. So I was like, I'm sure there's people who've written those fics, but yeah, that's just the hard part. I'm sure that Caroline was fun for someone to be like, oh, because it was clear the question was, what if Caroline wasn't here when this happened, right? Like that's the question that's being asked. And that's a lot of times where fic ideas come from, is either a prompt someone gave them or they had an idea for that. But it was one of those of like, I didn't hate the writing for it. Like it was good. It just, they built this up between them. They have one scene and then like she now knows everything and it was over. And I was like, well, I feel like it didn't have it could have had another chapter or so that we could see it, right? But if that was the question she was trying to answer, well, then it's answered and your fic done. So it was just a weird length because I feel like it could have been shorter and been satisfying, or else it needed to be like longer to be satisfying. So
I wonder if it was written when the show was happening, because I feel like back then there was also a lot of like certain scenes. It would be like, what if where we got fade to black? Like I read a lot of the Caroline, like that forest scene, but it was like, what if we didn't get cut off? And so it would just be this long one shot of exactly what happened on the show, but then not fading to black. So sometimes that like scratched more an itch when the show or whatever movie was on than it would now.
Right. Well, it was put on to AO3 in 2022. Okay. It could have been somewhere else first. It doesn't say transferred from somewhere else, so it might not have been. I know sometimes that happens if they moved it over. It could have been whenever, but it says it was 2022.
Or they were binging it during the pandemic.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. No, like I said, I see what the question was being asked. I just wanted more of it because it was like, oh, I was really liking it because it was good. And then, but at the same time, there was so much of her figuring out everything else. So it was one of those where I was kind of like, this wasn't really a focus on them. It was more a focus on like, what if Caroline came in later? And she wasn't such a mean girl either at the beginning.
That's one of those fandoms that I feel like didn't have as much fan fiction as you expected it to. And I think if it had been on now, I wonder if there would be, because I struggled to find, I remember back then.
Yeah. I think I told you guys this. The one and only time I wrote fan fiction was I started a Caroline. Didn't even know fan fiction existed. This was me, my little self in a bubble. I was my first year of college in 2011, and I was like, oh, I want this to happen. And I literally wrote like 6 chapters of a like Caroline / like self-insert with Klaus, like that. And I was like, oh, this is dumb. And I stopped. So I have a soft spot for Caroline because the one and only time I've ever tried to write something is for that. That's
like the same year I wrote my first like self-insert Dean Winchester one and thought that would be it. And I was like, I just need to get this out.
I was in college just going nuts. And I had like, the show was obviously still on then. It was only on like its 3rd season because I think I don't even think they'd had a Caroline stuff yet type of thing is how early on that I was like, they'd had like those 1 or 2 scenes where you feel the tension and then the fans, that's when we really did it. And I had my like idea of it was he like stole her and ran away with her instead. It's like gave up everything.
Yeah, I was shocked because there wasn't like when I was like watching it and reading fanfic, it was mostly like AU human fan fictions, and they were good, but I'm like, I want her to be like still within world, but there were some good like AU human, just not.
I thought this one was AU when I snagged it, but they were all the other one I got that's Caroline is. This one actually was because. That's what the mystery in this one is that someone gets killed by a vampire and they blame it on Klaus. So all of her friends who know who he is are trying to blame it on him. And she's all like, why are you guys so sure that my teacher did this? Like, what are you talking about? And then, so
there's a really good one Caroline, it just follows the original. Everything happened from the Vampire Diaries, but Caroline is a witch instead.
Yeah.
And like right now, the author's writing the last season, but it's like season 1, 2, and 3 of the originals is complete, and it's like a slow burn first book, and then like she has the baby and everything, so it's like it's really really good. But I just haven't finished it.
You shared that one, I think that's in our Rex. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
On one of them, because I looked at that one for sure. But all right, well. Let's go ahead and get started with these because I want to try to get us to do at least 2. So we better get going so it's not midnight for Ashton by the time we're done with this. Here we go. Yeah, we'll do one of these. And then I think by the time we're done with this Amber might be getting here and she can join us for the second one. So, all right, we'll go ahead and do this. And those of you watching, if this is your first sprint for some reason, we're just going to read together here for 45 minutes and then we'll come back and talk again. The timer will make the sound of birds when it goes off. So if you have cats or dogs in the room, they will probably bark or meow. It happens every time. I warn everybody about it. So we will be back soon. Okay. Oh. Yay. I finished my book.
I saw it look like you started the zombie one.
Yeah. And cried some more. So cute. But what? Yeah, we'll give it a try. I'll read that one for the next sprint too, and then we'll see. 'Cause it at least like I feel like not a ton of fics. I mean a good amount, but not a ton of fics like start with really good action. You know what I mean? That one like starts with action right away. So I'm like,
Yeah.
caught my attention in the first 10 pages, so that's a good sign.
I haven't read a ton of Hermione, but that one's like pretty tied with Manacled because there's things I like better in Manacled, and then there's things I wished that I thought Manacled was lacking in that I feel like that one did for me. So
yeah. So we shall see. I like I mean, I obviously like the ones that are focused in on a couple too, whichever one it is. But when they're like working together to save something, I like that too. That's what I like about the dark ones usually is that working together part of it, forcing a Slytherin and a Gryffindor to work together, like that stuff. So yep. Hey Lizelle. Oh, this thing between us. I'm so glad you started it. Made me so happy. Maya, finish your book. I don't know which one to read next. I mean, that's a struggle, man. I'm always in the middle of 5 or 6, so I don't get to take the time too long to think about it. But yeah. Did you keep going with yours, Ashton? How's it going?
I did. I got from like 52%. I think I'm at 66%. So it is definitely more focused on Neville, but it's very much he's like been gone for her and is just now like making moves.
Sorry. He's hearing the train. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Oh, so he's a piney one.
Yeah, I think they both want each other, but he just admitted to Lavender, who's like a ghost at Hogwarts. I don't think I've read that before where she actually, I mean, she did die there.
Right.
He like admits to Lavender, I think because she's safe, that he's like, I'm scared to talk to Pansy because with her I see like wife and kids and like she's the one for me. And Lavender's like, dude, you just gotta go talk to her. Like you just gotta go. So he's now starting to like talk to her in the Great Hall and stuff and meals.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I don't think I've read any others that had people be ghosts at Hogwarts.
Right?
Like why
Lavender
would they all have traumatic
there.
deaths?
Like Lavender would be there.
Yeah, they'd all have traumatic deaths. Like everyone.
Yeah, you could have any of them, even like Tonks, Lupin.
Well, I know. And I'd be like, that would make sense too.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be crazy. Wow. That's
I
a
always
missed opportunity.
I always find it interesting how, like, I'm like, I wonder how they decide to become ghosts. Like, how are they become ghosts? Like, kind of thing. Was that ever explained?
No, I feel like see, that's only kind of hinted at, I feel like, in Deathly Hallows. I feel like it's hinted at of just the same of like, you know, there's something that keeps you there that makes you so drawn to it that you can't let go. Because I think too, it's like hinted at with like Nearly Headless Nick of like things you couldn't get through. And then like when they talk to the Gray Lady's daughter, Gray Lady and she's
Helena?
it's like, you know, she died very like tragically. How much would that suck that the man who murdered you, you're also stuck there as ghosts with him?
Yeah.
Like that's never focused on enough.
And so with some ghosts, like in different it's like they can decide to change their mind and move on. But I feel like in Harry Potter, was it very much like it didn't seem like they could move on because like Nearly Headless Nick seemed very like depressed at times and unhappy with his.
Yeah. They were like traumatic deaths. And then like the poltergeist, which is what Peeves is like a manifestation of what was his manifestation of anyway? I feel like it's not said.
Yeah, I don't think he was like an alive human. Was he an alive human or was he like kind of born from something that happened at the school or something?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. And that's what I mean. Like, you know, that's not what she chose to like go into, but that's the difference between the ghost and the poltergeist. And I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I wonder if anyone's dived into that more.
Yeah, I was shocked to see her, but then I had to stop and think about it and be like, why haven't I read more fics where these characters that died in the battle come back?
Right.
Even like all the Death Eaters that died there, that could be interesting to bring some of them back.
Oh my gosh. Now I just want to look of like if there was a Ghostbuster version of a fic where they're trying to get rid of the Death Eater ones.
I thought you were gonna say a ghost romance. Like, where's the one where
No.
Snape comes back as a ghost and Hermione has to find out how to like bring him back or something?
Yeah. No, I mean those are fine. That sounds fine too. But I mean to get rid of the bad ones. Like you trying to get rid of the bad, like the bad ghosts. Like that would be wild. Secrets and Masks is up there with Manacled. I wish Amber was here. I almost called her Amanda. Why did I do that? I wish Amber was here because she just finished Secrets and Masks and she had some feedback. I was hoping we'll talk about that on Sunday, so I won't speak what she was telling us in our chat. We'll save it. But love Dom Draco. I know, Lizelle. He's just meant to be. Man, he's meant to be. So funny to me. I love Dom Neville and I love Dom Draco the very bestest. That's my two favorite things. Love it. Yeah. Anyone who read Bloody Slutty, I could have done the whole book of Neville and Pansy. Like I would have read that whole book.
Right.
They get a pretty robust romance though. Like it honestly gets almost equal parts. There's 3 romances going on and they're billed as a 3 romance story too. Like it says that.
Who's the third pair?
Charlie and Theo.
Okay. It makes me more interested to read it because I thought it was very much a Hermione.
I know. I mean, they're still the main thrust of it, but it's like it's Hermione with then like Neville and Pansy here, and then like Theo and Charlie Littleford. Like they get the least amount, but they still get a lot. And I think like she did that so well too because in that one, there's a lot of fight that Hermione has for a long time. And I feel like having the other 2 relationships do a little better, it kind of appeases you while you're like, come on, Hermione, just stop it.
The other couples get like smut on page as well?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now I'm interested.
I know, girl. I know. That's why I'm saying Dom Neville. Like, it's hot, man. It's hot. So, and just the right amount too with it. Whereas like Draco's really, I like that Draco. I've never read him in that version before, except in, I mean, there's a Drary where he's a little bit chaotic like that type, but in this one, he's just so crazy, but I love him. It was good. It was good. I can handle all types. I like all types. I have the specific fanfic type of him that I like, but I like that one too. Jessamine explained it good though to me. Jessamine read this and she said that he's a little too self-loathing, and I agree. He's all like, I'm okay with him hating the past a little bit, but there are points in it where you're like, okay, dude, you've self-flagellated enough here. Like, we get it. We get it. But I like more when he's broody with self-hate, not like punish me for my self-hate. But
I feel like I've read like the Dom, Lumine, and Snowmine, and when I'm used to like Draco being the sub in like I've read like Polly ones, and he's like the sub of the group to Hermione. So it's interesting that in Dramione he's always the Dom. So
I mean, most of the time. I mean, all my favorite ones are that, Ashton, right? Contradictions, Silence and Submission. Those are my favorite ones. So, but he's also so sweet in those ones because really good aftercare in those ones I like a lot. Whereas I feel like when it's a lot of the ones I read with Lucius as it, he's a little less caring for good parts of it when I like it. I mean, obviously there's ones where he is, but I feel like he's a little more aloof about it.
There's like a really popular Polly one. It gets very, very kinky, but it's Hermione with the 3 with Lucius, Draco, and Snape. And Snape is like the daddy Dom of the group, and Lucius is more the like soft praise kink Dom. And then Draco like learns through his interactions with Hermione that he wants her to like femdom him. So it's a very
What's the one I read? There's one I read where it was it was Lupin and Sirius and Draco and Theo and Hermione. Like it was a Y choose with, but I believe it was Lupin and that one. There's one there's like 5 in that one, and that was a good one. That was a good one. I think it was Theo. I think it was Theo, Draco, and then Remus and Sirius. It was a very interesting thing, because that one because I know there was no like incest involved, so Lucius wasn't in that one. So because the guys share too.
Yeah, there's no incest in that, but they are like, but like Snape ends up and Hermione sleeps with everybody, so like they're in the room, but there's not like actual.
I mean, I don't care if they do put that in there. I just know I don't recommend it to other people because they
some people don't even like Lucius and Draco being in like the same room with Stacks.
I mean, I generally don't, just because I get weird, but I can try anything, like that was I don't know, it gets a little weird for me, but I don't shame anyone else who wants to read it.
There's the ones where she's like married to Draco. It's usually one shots where she's married to Draco, but like Draco's not doing something properly, and so it's about Lucius coming in like, I'll show you how this is done. And I like those ones.
I read, because there's the one I really love, that's the Ginny and Lucius.
The Radiant.
Yeah, that happens in that one. Where
to
give him a last like run, they like do it in front of him and everything, and I was like,
which is what they deserve, because he walks in on them in the very beginning. It's been years since I've read that fic, and that scene is still seared in my head when they're on his desk and he walks in.
It's so good, and he's like, "Are you getting payback?" And it's like, "Yeah." I tell you, there's just Ginny's just that little bit different. I like that sometimes. And
her hate for Lucius is like a little more personal because of their history.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. And that one is hey girl, she made it. Just in time for the next one.
Oh, perfect. Oh, my whole thing is sliding off.
Oh, you're okay. Yeah, there's just she's just got that little more sass. I mean, not that Hermione can't be written that way sometimes, but to me, there's just a little more sass to that one, with the extra edge of hate that goes into it. But that one, nobody really hates anyone in that one except for the Weasleys hate them. So that's where. I say this all the time. I don't love when Molly's made the bad guy in ones. That's tough for me, but that one's my exception, because I understand when it's Ginny. When she's like that, when it's Hermione, I get mad, because I'm like, don't make Molly the bad guy. Okay, she's the only mom that she has left. Don't do this.
I like Molly, but reading canon, like, she is very quick to be ready to turn on Hermione if Hermione's not with Ron, because there's whatever book that is. Yeah, whatever book it is that Rita like puts in the paper that Hermione is with Harry, like Molly is low-key real horrible to Hermione. So I can see where you can play off that in fan fiction.
I know what's canon. I just don't like it.
Yeah, no, I like to think of her as a good mom, but I can also see how she could not
nosy. She can be annoying about it. I just don't like it because it's just a personal thing. Like Molly is like, I'm adopted by other people's parents in my life. So Molly like is that to me. So whenever they have her be like mean, I'm like, no. My Molly is mean. She would more smack Ron in the head than she would like her. Yeah. Like that's what I like. I like when they're all like, Ron, you're being a head, but all the Weasleys still love her.
Yeah. I don't like mean Molly, but I get where people are pulling it from, definitely.
Yeah. No. I've read, like I said, I read all but in the Radiant, I understood it. And I was like, okay.
They were horrible in the Radiant.
Yeah, it's bad. But I'm like, to me, that's different when it's Ginny and Lucius than it would be if it was Hermione and like it's just different if it's your own daughter.
It's way more personal when it's Ginny and Lucius. Yeah.
Hello, ladies. I only finished Silence and Submission so far, but I'm trying to finish Contradictions. Yeah, Candace. What was I just talking about? So happy. Amber, we were just talking about you before you came on in the best of ways, because Como was talking about this. And I was like, we'll wait till Sunday when you're here, but now you're here. So.
Is it up there for that she loves it as much as Manacles?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I was the opposite feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. Like, I thought it was really well done. I thought the podfic was good too. I just wasn't expecting it to go there. And I was sitting with my thoughts for like a day. And then I found myself being rude to somebody at work. And they're like, what's wrong? I was like, oh, I just finished this fanfic. Like, I was just, well, and like, I love Game of Thrones. So like the fact that there was a dragon, he was a dragon writer in it, I was like, hell yeah. And then, the dragon.
Yeah. I don't think everyone's read it, but I just for people that haven't read it, that one has not everyone would call it a happily ever after. It's not a romance.
Yeah. Which it's like kind of what I was thinking of. I've never read it, but like not this. I don't even know if it's the same, but like Pen Pal, what I saw everybody freak out about Pen Pal's type of ending. I like never even read it because I saw everybody freaking out. I think I watched your spoiler vlog on that. And so I already had I basically knew what was going to happen. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. But
it wasn't. I didn't disagree with anyone who said it wasn't. I knew what happened. So I was like, I was able to enjoy it because I knew what was going on, which is exactly it with Secrets and Masks. Is I was sure that you knew that. So when you picked that one, I was like, oh, she's going for it with that.
Well, I kept wondering, I'm like, why did Jenn DNF this? Because I'm like, it was really dark. But I'm like, and then now, like when I got to the end, I go, oh, that's why.
I told you the best. I mean, Ashton gave great advice for how to see what happens in ones.
Yeah, you guys all gave me such good advice because I'm so new to this that I'm like, okay, this is a learning lesson for me that not to expect, I'm a romance reader. I expect the HEA and it's not like that with fanfic. So I was like, okay, it was a good learning lesson for me. And it's not like I hated it. It was just, it was long.
It just makes you feel bad. It makes you feel bad when it's there.
It was like reading Outlander or something, and having a depressing end. It's like that long of a book. I'm like, oh.
Some people love that feeling is the thing, right? Like that's why Wuthering Heights is some of people's all-time favorite thing. They like that feeling of not quite satisfied, but still the story made you feel everything. Like people like that. So, that's what Como's saying.
It's like in Manacled, a lighter version, because even though there is an HEA, it's still, I wouldn't say I ended that fic and was I was very upset at the end of that fic. So there's something about that feeling that you're going to remember. When you
it's not a true HEA, but it's satisfying for me. Manacled, there's an HEA, but after everything, you're left feeling that it's bittersweet.
That's what I just
exactly. That's my point. But there's still a difference between Manacled HEA and that's the point. And that's why I'm like, it's it's okay. A lot of fan fictions are romance, but they don't promise any of us that unless it so in the tags. So nope, I did the same thing. I got to a certain part and I kept hearing people say it's devastating. It's devastating.
I kept going, oh no, this is gonna twist. It's gonna be some twist and it's not gonna be this. That's what in my head I'm like, this can't be happening.
Now I really want to read it now.
If I survive
I thought you already had. There's so many of them that you've made them, but you haven't read them yet because you make them and then you read them when you have it. So I see ones that, and I'm like, oh, she's read that, and then you're like, oh, I need to read it. I'm like, oh,
that's why I read that one. That was the Game of Thrones one that Mel had in her Instagram feed. So I was like, okay, I'm doing that one. And she was like, oh, tell me how it is. I'm like, wait, you haven't read it. I was just assuming you did.
I need to stop making ones that I haven't read. I need to read them first now.
Yeah. Amber, what are you reading now? We'll get into this next one. So
I'm not reading a fanfic right now because I'm way behind. I'm still trying to finish Braving the Storm and it comes out tomorrow. So I gotta finish this tonight. So I'm about 60% through. So I'm sure I'll get it, but then I still have to write my review and the post and all that. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, but I just finished a different book too. I just did start the Love in the Time of the Zombie Apocalypse, and we just burst into Azkaban as the beginning of it. So that is such an interesting thing that I thought was fascinating about the prison in Walking Dead or something. What would just happen? They would all just die in their cells.
Yeah.
Some of them would deserve that to happen to them, but I love them for this. Right? Like, oh, okay. Let's do another sprint at least then. Ashton, are you okay staying up? Are you gonna have to leave or do you work
No,
tomorrow?
I'm
or-
good. It's like
Yeah.
9:20 here, so.
Okay. Yes, we will do another 45-minute one for everyone who's here, and then we'll wrap it up after that. So, bum, bum, bum. Happy reading. Oh boy. Yeah. This is gonna be a good one.
You probably got like what 1% into it because of how long it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like 50 pages in. This copy that she did is 807. So yeah. That's okay though. I'll switch to my Kindle when I'm in bed, and I go faster on my Kindle than on Pages. I get distracted with physical books these days, which is sad but true.
I feel like I fall asleep easier with a physical book for some reason. Like I get more tired than if I have my Kindle.
Me too.
Interesting.
That one has a good audio.
Yeah, I don't read physical books in bed though, so I don't really fall asleep because I read them in my living room.
Yeah,
so,
that's where I fall asleep.
Oh yeah, I don't.
On the couch reading.
I actually, for the first time in like 3 or 4 years, I fell asleep with my Kindle, and I woke up with it on my chest, and I thought I was in a different world or something because I didn't remember falling asleep. I never do. Like I always like put it away. But it was during when like my back was hurt and I was taking some not heavy stuff, but I just was taking some stuff that's not normal for me, and I'm happy it didn't fall on my face. You know, that can happen. But yeah, I like woke up and I like rolled over and I'm like, ow, like something hurt because it got like stuck sideways in me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? And then I was like, oh.
Yeah, like I don't go to sleep. It takes me forever to go to sleep at night. So I have to like force myself like at 12:30 to like put my Kindle down. And this week, this is why I'm not further in this book. Like I was falling asleep at like 8:00 at night reading it. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to actually go to sleep for once and get a full night's sleep. Because I usually only get like 5 or 6 hours, which isn't really great.
How's everybody's, I should ask, in the chat, how's everybody's reading going? What's everyone getting through? I feel like we're talking about ours and not checking at you guys. Tell us how's it going, and then we'll keep going. But I feel bad. Tell us what you're reading, everyone. It's more fun. No, that happens to me sometimes when because I usually will have a falling asleep book, and sometimes I finish a book every night for like a week. My falling asleep book, I'll finish it, and then sometimes it takes me like 6 days and I'll only read a few chapters of it. That's what happened with This Thing Between Us, which, to be fair, now it's over 600,000 words, so I don't feel bad that it took me 14 days to read that one. But it felt like it took so much longer because I'd be reading it and I would fall asleep. Well, I was still reading it for 2 hours every night, but again, 2,000-page book, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
Started Chasing the Wild. Ooh, yeah.
I love that.
Yep. And House in the Pines by Anna Race. Oh, nice.
I started the audiobook for what is it called? It's for Urine Crystals, but it's your pick.
All Through the Night.
Yes, I just started that today. I'm like, I couldn't get it in my head.
Oh yeah. Yesterday I listened to both books 1 and 2 in Crystal's pick. I loved it. I'm spoiler alert for anyone who's gonna come. I loved it.
I saw that on your Instagram and I'm like, oh, it must be good because you like went right to book 2. So I was like,
what we'll end up talking about is like it's a trilogy, so it doesn't end. So some people are gonna be mad, but I'm like, I don't care. The author meant it to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
It's just Crystal grabbed this one in one of the free days. And then she, like, we've been picking books we haven't read. So, like, she didn't look into it. I don't blame her. How many romance trilogies are there out there that's historical about the same couple? Like, that's just...
Doesn't happen.
So, I know some people are going to be mad, but I was hooked and I went right to the next one. And the second one has a happy for now, but, like, the author really originally wrote a trilogy for it. But there's 6 books now because then she writes about... like their kids and stuff. But
Cool.
it does
So
have a
their part
cliffhanger.
is finished though. The trilogy part is
Uh,
finished.
Kind
Of
of.
that couple?
You'll
Okay.
see. You'll see. It is a lot like a Downton Abbey type of story. So everybody's stuff is going on, but for the first 3, it's just the main couple is the point of like their stuff, and then later on it appears it adds their kids, but like the main couple, we still get their stuff too. So, but anyway, I really liked it. The narrator's really good. He's Irish and he does the different. Well, I don't know if he's Irish. The language of it is the accent's Irish, and I've never heard really like the difference between like low and high Irish. Usually, that's weird to say, but there's like there's upper class and lower class in this time, because usually in stories when you read, all the Irish are poor, like they all are when you read, and in this one they weren't. So anyway, those audiobooks were wonderful, and I would have listened to the next 4 right away, but I can't. But
How's your book, Mel?
yeah,
I'm really liking it. It's like a mystery. Somebody's trying to destroy the world with God and supernatural creatures trying to stop it, and one of them is related to one of the gods. So it's like, it's interesting. It's really good. Like, I'm liking it because it's gonna be a series of books. There's 6 of it, so I missed that. Like that sense of reading a series of going with the same couple. So I'm like, oh, let me just give it a chance.
sure.
Yeah.
Amber, how far did you get?
I'm about like 67% through, so I got to keep trucking with this. It's finished.
Ashton, do you know? Did I tell you what taboo that one is?
Do you tell me what?
The taboo that Amber says. I feel like I mentioned it.
No.
It's a adopted uncle.
Oh, right. That's that sequel to the
Yeah,
Boy.
Chasing the Wild or whatever.
Yeah, it's on tomorrow. So good. So good.
I put on like my KU TBR list for when I'm in the mood for that.
I was thinking of you. I know you're not always about the cowboy life as well, but it's good. It was good.
Yeah.
He's like bad boy cowboy too. You know, he's not like yeehaw cowboy.
He's like tatted up, bad reputation.
He's like got all the silver rings on and like which is funny because he's a farrier. I feel like him wearing them.
Did you say, is he like tattooed? Did you say?
Yeah, he's like got Storm like tattooed on his hands. So like,
okay,
which is really hot. With
that might work because then I can picture that model that's on the cover of Bait by Jade West. I forget his name. He's like, if it's like a tattooed cowboy, I can think of him because he.
Yeah. He's more like rock and roll cowboy than just kind. Because he was a bull rider and everything. But yeah, it was hot. The main like kink in that one too is free use, which I just put that in a video I just made. I was inspired by it.
I saw a video and I wasn't sure if I knew. Like, I feel like I probably know what it is, but I've just never heard it called that.
Yeah,
I think the first one I read like that was a Jagger Cole, like when it was like the free use thing, and I was like, oh, I like this
video. Yeah, Twisted Hearts, because I think it's literally it's when it's used in a book like Braving the Storm, it's like a lighter version of that, but it's almost like a master slave thing. If it's written that way, it's not. Because anyway, in my video, I talk about the point of like, that's not what it is. It's usually one of like, you give a signal and it's like an open signal for anything to happen, but you still have a safe word when it's this. Whereas in a lot of darker romances, you wouldn't call that free use. You would just say that person is like being kidnapped by the person and they can do what they want.
Okay. I know there's like a name for this. So it's like when they're like their toy kind of.
Right. And that's actually like a term, I guess, which I didn't know. I learn things all the time. I was like, that's what it's called. But as I cover in my video, I'm like, there are a lot of ones that I put in the video, they're not called that. You know, I make the examples is there's ones where they say are you interested in this type of kink when you're actually talking about a kink? And then there's just those where I'm like, you can do whatever you want whenever you want. And that's, you know, because there was one of the fanfics that I read for the readathon had it in it too.
Cool.
A box for safekeeping but they don't only do that. They do all the different kinks they want to try. And one of those days she's like, I want you to do this. Let's do this kink today. So they do it for like a day, which was hot because they do it just for one day. But anyway, Braving the Storm, it's not the main, like kink isn't the main point of that book. It's one of the ones where, like it's more the angst of their forbiddenness or whatever, you know.
Yeah. We'll probably try it at some point.
Yeah. It was pretty hot.
And the first one was really good. Like I loved that one. Like the angsty. Like that one's a lot more angstier, I think, than this one.
Yeah, which is funny. Yeah. But that's because the guy actually cares about his son, whereas like Storm and her, they don't give a fuck about the family. So they don't care what they think. They're like it's more, you know, we're in.
Well, I just got to the part where the sister shows up and I'm like, oh, like this.
Fuck that lady.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, anywho, this was great. I will be keeping reading it. So it caught me enough anyway. I don't know how long I can keep reading that one without stopping, but I'll see if I can finish it by Sunday. I can probably get through a good amount. We'll see. I can't even say that I'll use the audio though, because I have 4 ALCs I have to get through. So that's why I couldn't devote to the audio for it, because I have to get.
There is an audio. Is that one on AO3 or is it available on Spotify? AO3.
I will say they had to switch narrators like halfway through. I think it was that one. They're both good narrators, but I really like the first one. It was a little jarring. I didn't know that they had to change at some point.
Yeah. But I'll keep reading that one for sure. And then, so everyone watching, we'll do one more unless any of them throw up a live before then. But we'll do our wrap-up one on Sunday just to talk about our favorites and everything. So we won't do sprints, but we'll just chat for probably 45 minutes and reflect. So those of you watching, if you have any, like, wishes for next year or thoughts for next year, that's when I like to collect the information so that we can improve on next year. So yeah, but this was awesome. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I guess it's Friday tomorrow. Oh geez, that goes by so fast. Oh, they all blur together. But good night, friends who are watching. Be good wherever you are. Night, night.